RetroDaze.
For a short time through the 1980s, a peculiar pop culture fad swept through the nation, saturating nearly all media markets, including music, film, television, and art. What started as a regional dialect, complete with its own vocal features and vocabulary, soon became an often imitated caricature among young people across the country. Now, in many cases, the imitations were laced with more than a little ridicule and could be quite insulting to those who naturally spoke that way.
Interestingly, much of the terminology became so popularized that they were interwoven into the nation's lexicon in more sincere ways as well. If you haven't figured it out, I'm like totally talking about Valley Girls and Valspeak for sure. Oh, I promise never to do that again. Prior to the early 80s, not many people outside the San Fernando Valley paid much attention to it. Although the region would pop up here and there, like in the 1944 movie and Bing Crosby song San Fernando Valley, the valley was far from being an integral part of the pop culture zeitgeist. As reported in the article, How 80s Pop Culture Typecast the Valley, so much of the rest of Los Angeles is so mythologized, whether for good or bad, says Laura Baracloff, an assistant professor at Yale. From the film Chinatown to the Boys in the Hood soundtrack and all that, the Valley just gets completely left out, and that's still true. Of course, for a short time at least, all eyes were on the Valley, and it started with a short skit during the second season of Saturday Night Live when Lorraine Newman used Valspeak for a character named Sherry. This was a mere blip on the radar until Frank Zappa's song, Valley Girl, was released as the only single on his 1982 album, Ship Arriving Too Late to Save a Drowning Witch. The song featured his 14-year-old daughter, Moon, who reportedly ad-libbed Valspeak in the song, based largely on people she knew, her friend group, and stuff she overheard at the mall.
This is the most recent Frank Zappa album, Ship Arriving Too Late to Save a Drowning Witch, from which Valley Girls is taken, or is on, or whatever they say when it's included in the album. Explain to us, again, you must be tired of this explanation, but tell us about how this came to be. Either one of you. This is a toss-up question for 20 points.
Oh, well, I was qualified for the job, and, I've been to parties, bar mitzvahs. I know what I'm doing, so...
now by qualified for the job, you mean this song is about your peer group, right, essentially?
Well, anybody who knows what the Valley's about, and...
You've been there. I have been to the San Fernando Valley.
And experiences it, and can let others experience it as well.
Uh-huh. Now, for people who may not know what, if you could just talk like these people talk, do you mind, or...
Sell them some real estate.
Well, okay, take this house over here, for example. You notice it's got, a little picket fence. It's so cute. There's, vines growing over everything. I don't know what the flowers are called, but, they're so awesome.
So it's just airheads is what you're saying, pretty much. Yeah. And what I read about the record, you got her out of bed at midnight and said, "Come down here," and did you just ad lib what's on the record, or?
Yes.
Yeah, and the results have been overwhelming, successfully for you folks. Ridiculously so.
Frank Zappa is largely regarded as a musical genius, and yet Valley Girl was his only North American top 40 single, reaching number 32 on the US Billboard Hot 100 chart and number 18 on the Canadian RPM Top Singles chart in September 1982.
Valley Girl was done in the crudest possible way. Okay. When the record was finished, she said, "No, this is a hit. Everybody will love it." She was the only one who thought that it was really hot stuff. I just said, "Okay, fine. But if it goes, it goes. If it doesn't, it doesn't."
Zappa has always had a reputation for spurning commercial success. He doesn't record a song in order to make money. He just creates things, and sometimes they sell. He's produced more than 30 albums in all.
I've been doing this for almost 20 years, and this is the most successful record that has ever occurred, and the only reason that it's successful is because it's an accident. And
you feel cynical about that at all?
Well, I think that if a person doesn't feel cynical, then they're out of phase with the 20th century. Being cynical is the only way to deal with modern civilization. You can't just swallow it whole.
Zappa's song seemed to single-handedly popularize the Valley Girl stereotype, right along with Valspeak, which was ironic considering he had meant the song to be a scathing critique of what he considered a consumerist-minded and shallow subculture.
You see, I don't want to break the hearts of a lot of people who really like this record. Because I hate the San Fernando Valley. I think it's perhaps one of the most disgusting places on the face of the earth. And I wrote this song about the values of the people in the San Fernando Valley. But it turned out to be cute, and so everybody thinks it's cute. Okay, it's a nice, cute record.
Despite Zappa's true message in Valley Girl, consumers and creators had other ideas, and this was just the beginning. The next time America heard Valspeak was on the television series Square Pegs, which began airing September 27, 1982, roughly 3 months after the release of Zappa's single. Square Pegs follows two awkward teens, Patty Green, played by Sarah Jessica Parker, and Lauren Hutchinson, played by Amy Linker, who are trying to fit in with a popular clique at Weemawee High School. The pilot episode introduces a number of interesting characters based on different teen stereotypes, including our resident Valley Girl, Jennifer DiNuccio, who is part of the popular group at the school.
So, Jennifer, you and Vinny going to the freshman dance?
I don't know, you know. I mean, like, I know Vinny likes me, but, like, you know, I don't know.
Broken nail.
Okay, I've been, like, looking over the senior guys, you know?
Uh-huh.
And you know who I like, you know?
Who?
Larry Simpson.
Oh, look out. Larry Simpson's a stone fox.
Jennifer DiNuccio is played by Tracy Nelson, who was at first accused of miming Moon Unit Zappa's performance, though she later revealed she was actually just imitating the girls from her high school, much like Moon had done, having both auditioned and shot the pilot before Valley Girl was even released.
When we were auditioning, I probably won't, no, I won't name names, but there were some pretty well-known people.
Major singing stars.
Major singing stars who have recently had weight issues, but we won't talk about it. We won't
mention who they are.
In the hallway, waiting to read, and I remember going in, I actually walked out and I called my agent, and I called my agent and said, I can't read against these people, it's too scary. They're big stars. And he said, no, just go. And I remember for me, what was good was doing this kind of a character voice that really I was imitating the girls in my high school. Oh, gosh, I haven't done it in so long. And they all kind of talk like this. And she said, like a lot, and you know. Well, I kind of did Jennifer like that as the popular girl in school, and nobody had really done that on TV before except for Lorraine Newman on Saturday Night Live. She did Sherry the Stewardess like that, sort of. And I remember after the pilot was shot, someone called me from the show and said, oh, you've got to hear Moon Zappa's Valley Girl. Sounds just like your character. And then suddenly everyone's saying I'm doing a bad imitation of Moon Zappa.
Yeah.
So anyway, but that's, I think, what really helped me get cast was doing it with that voice.
In 1982, Fast Times at Ridgemont High became a quintessential Valley film through the use of actual Valley locations, like the Sherman Oaks Galleria, despite never specifying a geographic setting within the narrative of the film.
Is this necessary?
That was my skull! I'm so wasted!
Is this proper?
What is it that gets inside your heads?
Is this educational?
Awesome!
No, but it sure is fun.
Hey, bud, let's party.
See Fast Times at Ridgemont High, where only the rules get busted. Rated R.
Fast Times gave people the visuals for the whole mall culture of the San Fernando Valley, says Amy Asbury, author of Valley Girl, Childhood in the 80s. The Valley was hot in the summer, so a lot of people really did hang out in our malls. Parents could drop off their young teens and they'd be able to go to the movies in the theater, eat, shop, and hang out, all in this air-conditioned hub. And for many, that was their impression of the Valley. It was a nightmare of endless condos, air-conditioned malls, and shopping centers. Then, on April 29, 1983, the movie Valley Girl came out, helping to solidify not only the sound of Valspeak, but Valley Girl fashion and consumer trends as well. The movie depicts Valley Girls and Val Dudes as the societal norm. They're the popular kids that listen to contemporary pop music and buy their clothing at the mall. On the other hand, Nicolas Cage's character Randy is a Hollywood punk. In the movie, he's seen from the perspective of the people in the valley. To them, he dresses weirdly, listens to bad music, and is potentially dangerous. In what plays out like a take on Romeo and Juliet, Randy meets a valley girl named Julie, played by Deborah Foreman, when he and his friend Fred crash a party. It's made pretty clear that the Holly weird punks hate the valley and the residents of the valley hate the punks. But interestingly, neither subculture is portrayed as being 100% wrong. Rather, a deeper through line of being true to yourself and being open to others' perspective permeates the narrative. Unsurprisingly, given the timing, the conception of the movie was inspired by the popularity of Frank Zappa's song. According to an interview with Martha Coolidge conducted by Dan Liebarger, on the audio commentary track for the new DVD edition of Valley Girl, Coolidge admits that it was originally designed as an exploitation film trying to capitalize on the song by Frank Zappa, but the backers were pleasantly surprised when she delivered a real movie. In response, Zappa even attempted to, unsuccessfully it would seem, halt production, arguing damage to his trademark and sales. Valspeak became so common that we even had entire commercials dedicated to it.
Okay, so I was totally down in the dump Ola because my doofus date Emerson was drinking this weirdo soft drink called Cheerwine, okay, and having a fabuloso time. Because he said Cheerwine is really something else. It tastes and looks totally different, and people who don't drink it are out of it, okay? And I said, bag it, Mr. Boo-Boo. If it isn't diet, it isn't me. So then he hands me a diet Cheerwine, and suddenly it was like, oh my gosh, major love. Oh no, not Emerson and me, Cheerwine and me. Cheerwine, it's not your ordinary soft drink, it's something else, okay?
I'm really into video games, for sure, totally. And Atari has this up and up so awesome, I am sure. Okay, now you can get an Atari video game cartridge free. Totally. That's so tubular,
Buy 2 of these great hits, and Atari will send you any one of these great games free.
That's so super, super nice. To the max. I'm so sure, totally.
Buy 2, get 1 free.
For sure.
In 1988, Earth Girls Are Easy hit theaters to poor returns, making only $3,916,303 of its $10 million budget back during the theatrical run.
They came from outer space, alien warriors bent on total domination.
Stop! That's not what this movie's about!
Mutant life forms preying on human flesh.
Just 3 really cute guys from outer space!
Terrorizing all who dare.
Dancing with anyone who asked them. Gina Davis, Julie Brown, Jeff Goldblum.
Earth Girls Are Easy.
Wait a minute, what about intelligent, educated, well-read?
Rated PG.
Keeping in step with earnings, the critical response was also mixed at best, with lukewarm proclamations like, if it didn't wear out its welcome so early, Earth Girls Are Easy would be a lot more fun, from Chris Hicks. Earth Girls Are Easy is silly and predictable and as permanent as a feather in the wind, but I had fun watching it, from Roger Ebert. And Earth Girls Are Easy is a candy-colored, airheaded, empty plate of comedy that is so cheerful about so many stupid things that you cannot, in good conscience, endorse it, but you may be tempted to adopt it, from George Anderson. The reviews insist upon a truth anyone who has ever seen the movie already knows. It's hard to hate the absurdity of the high-energy musical comedy. Once you've accepted that 3 furry aliens have crash-landed into a pool in the valley, it's not hard to accept that they're easily shaved down to reveal what are essentially humans despite their 2 hearts. And it's further no longer a stretch that the rest of the movie hinges upon the premise that these oversexed aliens want to cruise the valley for babes, or that Gina Davis's character falls in love with one of them. Of course, there's more to this movie than sexual innuendo and catchy tunes. In an article for the newspaper The Hour, the director, Julian Temple, explains, I was playing with a culture that's only really been seen through the cliche of the total valley girl, but it's actually a very powerful form of society. It's not a city in a traditional sense, it's just strange things thrown down in the mid-50s like instant cake mix. He goes on to say of the valley, it's seeped through with pop culture, the obsession with beauty and fingernails and tans and fast food. It is like its own little planet. And I like making films about places as well as people. In this way, Temple was trying to show the valley through the eyes of these intergalactic travelers. He says of the urban sprawl found in San Fernando Valley where the film takes place, It's as extraordinary as going up the Amazon, and it is thrilling, as well as sometimes depressing and sometimes revolting.
Hey, didn't you go to Van Nuys High? Van Nuys High? Aren't you Terry Harper's brother? Terry Harper's brother? Want to party? Want to party?
And yet you can see Temple's love of the Valley in the way he shoots it. In the opening scenes, Temple pans over the Hollywood Hills and into the San Fernando Valley, treating viewers to a wide shot of the entire expanse with the Northridge Mall and a Lucky's Grocery in shot. Throughout the movie, we see even more detailed landscapes of specific areas, from Van Nuys Boulevard to the Studio City Movie Theater, from shopping centers to Johnny's Broiler and beyond. If you're interested in a deep dive of all the filming locations, we highly recommend the video Earth Girls Are Easy Filming Locations, found on the YouTube channel 80s Life.
Oh my God, Becky, look at her butt. It is so big. She looks like one of those rap guys' girlfriends. I can't believe it's just so round. It's like out there. I mean, gross.
Through the 1990s, Valley Girls, Val Dudes, and Valspeak would continue to appear in various television shows, movies, and music, like in the opening dialogue of Sir Mix-a-Lot's Baby Got Back. There was also Shirley the Loon from Tiny Toon Adventures, Aphrodite in Xena, Warrior Princess, and arguably Cher from Clueless, despite her living in Beverly Hills. 1992 brought us the cult classic Encino Man, which had shooting locations across the valley and in neighboring communities, including Los Angeles Mission College in Sylmar, Sedgwick Court in the West Hills, and Van Nuys Boulevard.
He's an ice cube.
2 California teenagers have defrosted a million-year-old caveman. Now they're going to wash him, feed him, and teach him to be normal.
That's boring, dude. Normal. We're going psycho with him, bro.
And Encino High is about to learn the truth.
He's a caveman.
Encino Man.
That's barbaric.
Rated PG.
Encino Man is something of a critical conundrum, as silly comedies often are. On the one hand, this fish out of water story, or caveman out of Paleolithic period story, grossed a whopping $40.7 million worldwide on its $7 million budget. On the other hand, many reviews tend to be quite negative, and despite having become a cult classic, Pauly Shore's performance won him the Razzie, a parody award honoring cinematic failures, for Worst New Star. The critical consensus on Rotten Tomatoes quite correctly reads, Encino Man isn't the first unabashedly silly comedy to embrace its stupidity and amass a cult following, but whether or not it works for you will largely be determined by your tolerance for Pauly Shore. I, for one, happen to have a soft spot for the Weasel's antics, having grown up through his stint on MTV and movies. In fact, I think he'd fit in and be right at home on a list of bizarre 90s characters once we finish our series on bizarre characters of the 80s, like our recent episode featuring the likes of Yahoo Serious. While the Weasel was inspired more by surf culture and dude speak, he certainly seems to be right at home in the Valley.
Unfortunately, since its introduction to the wider world, Valley Girls were and are often depicted as shallow, vain, and dumb. Valspeak was shorthand for airhead, and writers began employing it as an unflattering stereotype rather than attempt writing honest-to-God characterization. It turns out the trademark vocal styles of Valspeak, like its upward lilt that makes statements sound like questions, commonly called uptalk or high-rising intonation, has been found throughout the English-speaking world. Its use can even be dated back to the 1950s or earlier. It seems a shame that such an interesting social and regional dialect can be boiled down to a sometimes ugly stereotype and comic relief, especially when, even now, whether you know it or not, fragments of its influence still pepper your own phrasing. Mary Beth Connaughton put it best in her article, Welcome to the Valley, How Youth Culture of the 80s Spread from Los Angeles and into the Mainstream. Other words have become so commonplace, it's hard to remember they first came from the mouths of hot babes. Words like awesome and totally using so and really pronounced so and really in place of the word very. If you've described yourself as mind blown, or if you've bailed at a party because it was too lame, you've used Valspeak. And though they were by no means the first to utter the phrase, oh my God, its contemporary dramatic delivery was first heard echoing across the valley. So then, Do you still talk like someone from the Valley? Better yet, are you from the Valley? And if so, how do you feel about Valspeak and the larger cultural connotations? I'd love to hear about it down in the comments. And if you enjoy our content, please consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and maybe even activating that ubiquitous notification bell. It really does make a huge difference. Let's meet again next week to celebrate yesteryear, right here on RetroDaze. Whoa, I totally said the word Valley over 40 times in this video, for sure.
Clicky clicky.